you ready to heat up your decor? Hi, I'm Kelly Wilkness here with Anita Joyce, and this is Decorating Tips and Tricks, episode 400. And we are so excited to be here today with you. It's also almost the eve of our birthday.
Is it? Wow, it's really that time of year.
Yeah, it really is, Anita.
I'm trying to act all excited. It's my birthday.
I've kind of opted into having the 5-year birthday. Every year, 5 years, I'll have a birthday. No, you have to celebrate every day,
I do.
especially your
true.
birthday. So our birthday is, for anyone who doesn't know, on the same day.
Mm-hmm.
Oddly enough, we didn't plan that when we became friends. We learned that a few months later. And
No, I do not have
later.
a requirement that all my friends share my same birthday.
It's so much easier to remember if all your friends have the same birthday. But if you're listening the day this comes out, it's the 15th. Our birthday is the 17th. So there is still time to send flowers.
No, or just say hi.
Or just say hi. So yeah, it's very exciting. But 400 episodes is almost more exciting.
I know. I was just shocked thinking about that this is episode 400 on that's coming out basically on our birthday or 2 days before. And it's just kind of fun timing.
Yeah, fun timing. New decade, 400 episodes.
And that's right. It's a new decade. And it's very close to our 3-year anniversary too.
Yeah. Yes. It's lots of things converging. And another thing that's so exciting, so we want to tell you about this in a little bit more detail right now. We told you that our word of the year is connection. And that's because we want to connect more and more with each one of you. So we have started something called Team DTT. And it's going to kick out off today of all days. So you have the opportunity to join Team DTT by going to Decorating Tips and Tricks /team. Now, what this is a group of us that want to get closer, know more about each other, talk more about decorating, and have opportunities outside of the podcast to connect. So we're going to have a private Facebook group. We are going to be sending very special content-rich emails the first of every month, maybe first, second of every month, to everyone on the list. It's going to include some really interesting in-depth articles that Anita and I will be writing, links to other things that in the universe that we think are super exciting and involve decor. Also, amazing giveaways from our private collections, from the vintage things that we continue to collect and hunt and gather. If any of you had purchased those sorts of things from our shop, you know they're pretty fabulous. So there's going to be wonderful giveaways that will only be available to people on the team. And we're going to continue on adding more interesting things and different events. We may even be able to see some of you in person as the time goes on. So we are going to give you all the details for that on the team page. Again, Decorating Tips and Tricks /team. So you basically going to our site and just going to the team section and you can get more information. But for this very special kickoff, we're doing a very special price for this membership. It's only $75. That's pretty much less than you would pay if you bought a magazine once a month. The regular price will be twice that, but for this special time, from January 15th until Valentine's Day, February 14th, we are offering this very special price for the membership to Team DTT.
And that's for an entire year.
Oh, yes, annual. And we're limiting to this group to a very small number of people because we're just trying it out. And we want to connect, and the best way to do it is sort of a small group environment. So if you're interested in this, I would get on it right away. The Facebook group is going to involve everyone who's on the team. Anita and I will be in there throughout the week, and then we will be doing a live session once a week to get to know each other, to answer questions, have some laughs, maybe, a virtual cheers, a virtual high five for people who've done some decorating or renovating. We want to see what's going on in your house. We want to share more. And we'll have that sort of one-to-one as best we can on Facebook, particularly when we're live there, but also we can share photos back and forth on that page. So it's going to be great. Another point that I would mention is that if you want to have a consult and you're on the team, we're going to lock you in at the very reasonable rate of $75 per 45 minutes for the consult. So that price is much higher now. And so that's a great deal as well. So when you think of all those things, it is a wonderful value. And we would love to have you as part of the team. So if you're considering it and you want more information, head over to decoratingtipsandtricks.com/team. Or of course, you can always email us if you want to get more information.
Well, that's decoratingtipsandtricks.com/team.
That's right.
Well, I'm sorry to be the stickler, but if you want to find it, you need to put in the .com.
You got to add the .com. And we'll also have that link in the show notes to this 400 episode. So you can head right over there by clicking through. Yay. I'm so excited about that. I hope that everybody that's listening is excited about that. And if you have the time for it and you would like to join us, don't hesitate. Get on it because it is going to be so much fun. And
right. And only available. The price is only available for a short time.
Yeah.
But, Kelly, I'm so excited about it because I want this to be a two-way conversation with listeners. And, just the nature of podcasting is it's a one-way conversation. And so many people have said they feel like we're talking, like around with a group of friends. But this really will be that when we go in and do the Facebook Lives, we'll all be able to, talk and interact. And I'm just very excited about it and really kind of showcasing and just really giving just a platform for us to all kind of have a conversation together. And, there's so much valuable information. The listeners have so many fabulous tips, beautiful homes. And it's really, to me, it's not about us. It's about listeners and what they want. And just kind of, I think, too, it's going to be a great place to discuss and come up with topics for episodes. For DTT.
Hearing what people want us to talk about and things like that. Yeah, it's definitely taking that really wonderful review that we get so often that it feels like sitting around and talking to your girlfriends when they listen to the podcast. It's taking that to the next level. Like it's like we're almost in the Starbucks together, but we'll be on Facebook. So yeah, let's give it all a whirl. So let's connect. Yay. Team DTD. Woohoo. Might have to get some swag. Might have to have a t-shirt.
Oh, yeah.
But today we're going to talk about heating up your decor with great fireplace tips, ideas, suggestions. And even if you don't have a fireplace, this is worthwhile listening to because I have something to share that I just learned about of how you can add a fireplace without doing all the mess of actually adding a traditional fireplace. So if you don't have a fireplace, don't turn us off. And plus, we have crushes and hot topics and a listener question that I think is going to really resonate with a lot of people today. So let's dive into the fireplace right now and give all our ideas and suggestions on that. And then I'll tell you about this really interesting thing that I learned about. And we'll carry on with the other portions of the episode. So I thought, in my mind, I broke the fireplace up into its components. And then I was sort of addressing ideas, suggestions, tips, what have you, for each of the components. So I don't know how you want to present
I kind
your
of did
info.
the mantle and what's above the mantle, the fireplace itself, and then what's around the fireplace. So hopefully that kind of squares with the way you did it.
Yeah, it certainly does.
Okay.
The only one thing that you didn't mention that I talk about in my notes here is the hearth, but it's very, for me, I think the hearth should be pretty simple. So that's obviously the area.
Well, but to me, that's kind of what you're doing on the hearth. You could do whether you have a hearth or not, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And your hearth could be raised or flush with the floor.
Right.
One thought, if it is either really, but certainly if it's flush with the floor and maybe if it's a red brick or it's some sort of gray cement and it's not really working with your floor, you can always paint it. I did that because mine was red orangey brick, and I painted it black.
Oh,
And
there you
it
go.
really looks so much better with my floor. And
That's a good point.
yeah, it didn't go. The red brick really didn't go with the fireplace itself, and it certainly didn't go with my floor. So you can do that. It doesn't hurt to use the high heat paint there, but you really don't have to. I didn't on that area. I used sort of this gloss black. It looks great, and it's really lasted. It doesn't obviously does get much traffic, but I think it looks really good. Made a big difference.
I think that's a great tip. Well, let's talk about the mantle first and kind of above the mantle, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
So I think the overarching, let's talk about some things you can put on the mantle. But one of my thoughts in looking at all the mantles on Pinterest that I looked at in preparation for this episode is that my personal feeling is to go with fewer big things rather than a lot of small things, because there were some mantles that I felt like were really, I feel like they were decorated within an inch of their life. There was so much on there that it was really kind of stressing me out a little bit looking at it. And so I think that's a kind of an overarching theme I have. My thoughts on that, and that is to kind of go light as far as you're decorating. But keep in mind the size of your fireplace. Some of them are big, some of them are small, but I think that what you do needs to be kind of appropriately sized. So if you have a large piece of artwork, then you're going to maybe do some tall things on the size. But, I think it's a little awkward when people put too much stuff on, or maybe put something just very small up there when you've got this massive space. So I want to just be thinking about this whole space above the fireplace, and I'm thinking of the width of it and when you're decorating it.
I so agree. Yeah. I think sometimes when a lot of little things land on the mantle, people are trying to fill that space.
Right.
And they just add more little figurines, add more low votives, things like that. But you really need something that's going to balance, whether your fireplace is, in the realm of fireplace on the small side or it's gigantic, it's still a big thing. Right. So then if you have this horizontal plane, whether it's wide or it's narrow, and you're just putting all these little dinky things on, the balance is off. And think about this, like to enjoy a small figurine or something small, you kind of have to be close to it. Maybe that's better suited for a little side table where, someone could really appreciate it. Rarely is someone going to walk up to your mantle and stand there and look at something small. They might stand in front of the fire when it's on to get the warmth, but they're not going over there to look at your little diddly that's on the mantle.
Right. And you just really, I think you have to look at it as a whole. And you need to be able to be kind of on the other side of the room looking at the fireplace, and it needs to make sense. If you have to walk up to the fireplace to kind of see what's on there, then I think it's too small. And while we're talking about these small things, I think when people get into this situation of putting all the small things on there, tends to be when they have the big TV above the fireplace. And that's where the situation is. So Kelly, it's kind of like one of those, I only have 10 inches between my mantle and my fireplace. And that's all I have. So this is the space that I need to fill up. Right. And again, my feeling, this is my opinion. I don't think everyone shares my opinion, but my opinion is.
Oh, but they should.
Well, I'm not saying they should.
I mean,
but if you've got the TV there and the mantle, stop it.
I know. Just go along with her, you guys.
Yeah, just pretend like you agree.
That's what I do.
Yeah, it works best. Just not to put anything there.
Yes, isn't that scary? Don't put anything there.
I know. I think it does. I think it feels painful for people because it's just a natural human condition. If there's an empty space, you feel like there should be something there, especially on a focal point. But no.
Right.
Not necessarily.
No. It's so true. And okay, let's talk about the balancing and the scale and all of that too. With respect to what's above it on the wall, because normally you probably want to put something above it if it's not a television, and if you don't have this incredibly beautiful stonework that you just want to be exposed, more than likely you're going to put something above it. Don't put something tiny. Don't put a narrow little thing with a saying that you can't see across the room. Put something large. Put a large mirror. I often like to have something round above a mantle if you can, or oval or something like that, because there's a lot of linear lines in a room, and particularly around a fireplace. Think about the fireplace is usually square or rectangle. Then the firebox is square or rectangle. And then the hearth is a square or a rectangle. So there's a lot of that going on. You can break that out with something round. So maybe a round mirror, maybe, some sort of decorative piece that's round, or even sconces that have some roundness to them on either side of a piece of artwork, something to sort of soften it and giving it a little bit more of an organic feel.
Well, that's a good point. That's a good thought. The other thing I wanted to talk about is, because I think the two most common things people do is to have one big mirror or one big piece of artwork above the fireplace. And I think those are very good things to do. I think you can do either one. Another thing I've seen is a couple of pieces layered. I think as long as there's not too many, like leaners,
love the
sitting on the
leaning.
mantles. Right. So if you have maybe 2 or 3, sometimes you can get them to work together, but that can be dicey.
Yeah.
But again, you've got to respect the size that you're working with. But some other things just to think about is you could do 3 prints that go together.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an option. I've seen maybe 3 mirrors. I'm not as crazy about that look. Again, you could do maybe a big mirror with a few things on either side. Another thing I've seen that's really beautiful is to have a mirror or a painting or something. But then if it's a little bit narrower than your fireplace, is to put some beautiful candle sconces on either side. And I think that's a really beautiful look too.
Now you're saying to put them on the wall or sit them on the mantle?
Well, sconces, so they'd be
right.
hanging on the wall.
Oh, sconces. Okay. Right.
Right. But you could also do candlesticks. I mean, I think I have candlesticks on my fireplace, but that's kind of a very traditional thing. So, right. I mean, it's certainly, if your tastes don't go toward the traditional, I mean, you could go to something completely different. I mean, and I've seen some beautiful things too. I mean, and really you're kind of limited too by how deep your mantle is. Mm-hmm. Mine's pretty narrow, so I can't get much there. And then plus I've got the doors for my TV. It's hidden behind doors. So I really am very limited on what I can put there. So I have some tall candlesticks where I can swing the doors open and it's not going to be a problem. But I've seen some beautiful urns filled with some moss balls, and we love moss balls. So that's a beautiful look. You can go with the blue and white urns or jars, the
ginger jars.
The ginger jars are beautiful, and you can get them in different heights and sizes. And I saw the pussy willows at Trader Joe's today. In fact, I should have.
Oh, they're back! Yeah,
I know, not today. It was a couple days ago, but yes, I've never seen them in there before. I was so excited.
Oh, I got a bunch of them last year, and they still look great. Yeah, you have to get them.
Well, I need to, because I grew up with those, but they don't have them here in Texas. I never see
either.
Them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, because from New Jersey, you grew up.
Yes, with them? Yeah, we had the tree on our property.
So, we had them in New York too when I was growing up. I love those. And I have to tell you, if anybody is thinking about, how long do they last? You don't need to put them in water, right? And I have had them in that big trophy urn that you gave me the permission to buy that time, remember? I was like, it's expensive. It wasn't even that expensive. And he was like, get it. What are you, crazy? And I have had the pussy willows in there, obviously, since last year.
So you put them
at Trader Joe's.
So you don't put them in water, and how long do they last?
They just look like I bought them yesterday.
So they look great dried then?
Yeah. I mean, they just basically dry.
Get them.
Yeah, they dry exactly as
Can
they
you
are.
pause and then I'll come back?
Yeah, you better hurry up because they sell out.
No kidding. I know.
And anybody who's going to go do that, if you're like, I don't really need the extra one, buy the extra one, because you get maybe 6 stems, and you really need at least 18, maybe even more to really make it look good in a vase. So
I need to go get
4 or 5 sets, maybe 3 minimum. Okay.
Well, I'm almost out of my baked cheese crunchies anyway. So.
Oh, stop. I wish you had never told me about those. Don't listen, anyone. And she thinks she's gluten-free. I don't think they're gluten-free.
Stop it. What?
They don't say gluten-free on the bag.
But look at the ingredients. They're corn.
I know, but everything that's gluten-free, even like moisturizers, like I'm gluten-free. Like, who's going to eat that? But I don't know. Makeup is gluten-free. I was like,
Don't yuck on my yum.
I know. Okay, I've never heard of that, and that's fabulous. Okay, I wish I had never even said that because I don't want to ruin it for you. You eat so little and enjoy so little. I want you to do that.
My life is so small.
It's so small. Those crunchies now, if you take those off, what's going on?
Then I'll have nothing left in life. Yeah.
Okay, so the mantle, unless you have something else to say, we can talk about now the surround. I want to talk about something.
Well, no. I'm still over the mantle for just a little bit.
Right. You could put an urn full of Trader Joe's crunchies on your urn.
Okay. Well, I've also seen the large tobacco baskets. Have you seen those?
Sure.
Hanging?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of a look, kind of a farmhouse look. But the other thing I wanted to mention is this is a great place. Again, I can't do this because I've got the doors there and they have to be able to open. But it's a great place to hang some architectural salvage element too, because there's so many. Don't you see them when you're out? I mean, we saw them at Round Top where it's about that size, but where are you going to put it? That'd be a great place to hang it. If you found something really beautiful, what a perfect place. Like maybe a really interesting maybe door or windows or just something else. Maybe I've seen
part of a gate.
Pieces. Part of a gate, or even I've seen beautiful, and I've bought them too, beautiful pieces that were taken out of old churches that would be beautiful up there. So yeah, just some Gothic elements.
Yes, because it is a focal point, and so it should be spectacular. And so if you can get something that's absolutely unique, that is even better. So that would really bang the gong for.
So if you have a salvage yard that has that kind of stuff, or someplace like Round Top to go, check it out.
Yeah. Okay, so the surround. Now, this is scary to some people, and I understand because it seems like it's not reversible, and it really isn't easily reversible. But if you've got some brick or stone that you don't like, that's around your fireplace, feel free to paint it. If you don't believe me, go on Pinterest, look around. It's going to look better. It's going to look so much better. And we actually did a whole episode or part of an episode on exactly how you should do this and what brushes you should use and the wire, to scrape off the dirt and the old paint and all that stuff. So we can link to that in this set of show notes as well. But man, it looks so nice. You think about how busy brick with grout is in a living room or in a family room when there's a lot of other things going on, decorative elements, your color palette, maybe some pattern going on in some of the fabrics. And then you've got all this grout on the wall. And sometimes it takes up a large chunk of the wall. So and you don't have to go the old, traditional default farmhouse white. How about a deep gray? How about a navy blue? How about a really, really, really dark green, like a Charleston green that almost looks black? You could do such a beautiful job in making that fireplace surround absolutely fabulous with just a can of paint.
Well, that's true. And the interesting thing is that a lot of the red brick is just kind of out as far as, home decor goes now. But it's so easy to fix with a coat of paint. And I agree with you, it's not reversible, but especially if you're, toward a much more modern, contemporary look, what an easy way to do it is just to paint that fireplace, especially, like you said, a dark color. And I think that would really give it a completely fresh new look. And you've got all that beautiful texture with the brickwork on there.
Right. And if you don't like the texture of the brickwork, or sometimes you have brick and it's flush and there's no mantle on it, you can cover the brick. Get a contractor, maybe you even know someone that you're related to that could do it. Maybe you can do it yourself. It's really just some sheetrock and some framing, and you can make, just surround the brick, just cover it and make it like it's wall. And then you could put your own mantle on it and do your own surround. We did that in our San Marino house. Part of it was painted, the part that was right near the firebox, but the rest of it, because it was so massive and I didn't really want this giant, massive, almost complete wall of textured brick, even though I was going to paint it white. I just didn't want to see all the bumps of the bricks and all that. So we covered a lot of it. And then we were able to create a mantle, and it was so great. And it transformed the room like nothing else could have. I could have bought, as many sofas and lamps and rugs as possible. And if that giant giant, giant orange brick thing was still there, that room never would have worked.
Well, isn't that interesting, Kelly? Because I think that's one of those things, people are afraid to touch it and they don't really know that they can just call a contractor, and it's probably cheaper than they think. And so they spend this is a trap that we all fall into, getting stuck with something that's just not working in the room, and we keep trying to make it work. And maybe people try to just, well, I'm just going to add that brick color in the room to go with it. And then they just to get more and more and more stuck with it, and it just isn't working, when maybe you can get somebody in there to fix it for less than you think. And then you think, why did I wait so long to do this?
Yeah. I know that's, trying to decorate around a real, flaw or just something you really don't like. As Anita said, you might try to add that color in, then you don't like that color twice over already.
Then you don't even want to go in the room.
Right, exactly. Or I'll just add a little brick, something else over here. Like, oh no, stop it. I know we renovated a lot of bits of that house, so I couldn't tell you exactly what it cost, but that was just like a drop in the bucket compared to like doing the kitchen and doing all these other things. And it completely transformed that room. So, if you're thinking, oh gosh, I wish this thing would just go away. And oh my gosh, what if you have that giant thing and then the fireplace doesn't even work? So you're not even getting the benefit of being able to light a fire. And like, that just stinks. So we'll talk about what you can do if your fireplace doesn't work too. But yeah.
And if you need a contractor, just call your realtor. Look on Nextdoor. I mean, those are your neighbors. They can recommend people, steer you clear of certain people. There are good places to find people, or ask for recommendations on Facebook.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Okay, so another type of surround, you might have a lovely, just sort of simple wooden surround. That's great. Again, that doesn't have to be white. That can be any color you want. What if you have no surround, or you have one and you don't really like it? It's just sort of very builder grade or something like that. There are a lot of places that you can find online. And it'd obviously be a lot less expensive if you could go somewhere local to you to look, but they have salvaged fireplace surrounds. You might find one that really has a wonderful old world look, or something out of marble or some other kind of stone that might have some great carvings on it. So, it's definitely worth looking around when, sometimes when estates or old homes are taken apart, those are the kinds of pieces of salvage that somebody's going to pull out and then try to resell. So there are things like that out there that you can find. You could create your own interesting surround with wood and buy corbels. You could even probably do an amazing fireplace surround just from the aisle at Home Depot. Get some corbels, get some nice pieces of wood with some bevel work, get, a couple of pieces of molding with some fluting, and you could design your own.
Well, that brings up the point of the mantle too, because that's probably a lot easier to change out than you think. We had a mantle that we didn't like in our old house, and we just kind of picked it up, and it was just sitting on, it was basically like a forklift sticking out from the wall. There were two metal hands basically sticking out that the mantle just sat on, and all we did was just pick it up and pull it off, and we ordered a new one and had it put on.
Oh, wow. And was that on wood or stone?
It was on a brick fireplace.
Is that what you mean? Yeah. So it was in brick. So see, yeah. And even if you have one, and if your room could take a little bit of a wider mantle, say maybe there's a 2x6 or something, that's your horizontal plane for your mantle, and you don't even want to take it off, or it would seem hard. Just put a wider plank on top of it and have it, maybe beveled off, or put a little piece of quarter round wood on it to finish off the edge of it. And then so now you're just layering on top and you're making it wider. Right. But don't put more tchotchkes on it just because it's wider.
Don't you just love a great recommendation from a friend?
Well, we're delighted to be recommending these companies and their wonderful products to you today. And let them know your friends at DTT sent you.
Go ahead, clean out your closet, then head straight to Quinn's. I love every item Quince offers, from wardrobe to decor. And I can really recommend their Ultra Stretch Super Wide Leg Pant at $49.90. The price is unbeatable, and the look is so flattering. It keeps you in on top and flares out of the bottom. Everything feels right with Quince. The price, the quality, and the sustainability. Quince offers a range of luxury wardrobe and home goods at prices within reach. And like Quince's clothing, their home goods are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, along with premium fabrics and finishes. Once you've cleaned out your closet and refreshed with Quince, you can also add something to your home decor. So give your wardrobe and your home the refresh it needs with Quince. Go to quince.com/DTT to get free shipping and 365-day returns on your next order. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/DTT for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DTT. And let me know how you love those pants. BritBox just keeps getting better. The new Archie is amazing. And it's not the comics. It's about Cary Grant. Archie is the brand new limited series starring Jason Isaacs as Archie Leach, the man who became Cary Grant. From the award-winning screenwriter of Philomena, Archie tells Grant's born in Britain, made in Hollywood story, the dramatic grit to glamour transformation that led him to become one of the most famous people in the world. You are going to absolutely love the acting, but also the styling, the outfits, the scenery. It's the first time his story has been told in collaboration with his daughter Jennifer Grant and ex-wife Diane Cannon. The performances from Jason Isaacs and the rest of the cast are amazing, and it's only available on BritBox. So sign up for BritBox today to stream Archie and other fan favorites from any device. And we have a special limited time offer for our U.S. and Canadian listeners. Get 50% off. Yes, that's 50% off your first month when you sign up for a monthly plan. But only if you go to BritBox.com and use our promotion code DTT at checkout. You're going to love Archie. So head over right now and get 50% off your first month of BritBox. Use the promotion code DTT at BritBox.com.
Another thing to make it look more modern, here's an idea. Just take the fireplace mantle off.
Yes.
I mean, that is a very clean, modern look.
Right.
And then you don't have to worry about what to put on that mantle because
Right.
it isn't there.
Right. And then paint the brick or the stone.
And I've seen that done
black.
very nicely where there's nothing on it.
Right.
And it's just, I mean, no artwork, no mirror, no anything.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
Right. Okay, so this will be easy. Let's do the firebox. So that's actually the inside. Now, if you've had a lot, like a wood burning fireplace, or you buying a house where there's been a wood burning fireplace and people have used it and enjoyed it, more than likely there's going to be sort of scorching and some discoloration inside of there. Well, you can just paint it a high heat black paint and it will just go away and you'll just uniform all of that coloration inside and it'll just look a lot neater and cleaner. And, you can just come out to the edge and, maybe that'll take you a half hour, an hour. Maybe you need 2 coats. Obviously, you're going to want to clean it out first. You don't want to clean over any sort of, dust or
right.
residual logs or something like that. But so you clean that all out and then do it with a high heat paint. And my thought about some of those chains and things that are screens that go in front of the fireplace, I think that's kind of a dated look. And lots of times, especially if they're those chains and you're like, they don't really work anyway and they get stuck, I would just take them off. I mean, unless you have small children and pets and, that you're worried about putting their hand in the fire or, then I guess if you needed something like that for safety, but more than likely you're not going to light a fire and, go in the other room and leave your kids in there anyway. But I don't know how much that would protect someone from the fire anyway.
Well, there's some beautiful fireplace screens that you can get if
then
you're
you
worried about
pretty.
that. Because I agree, some of those are pretty ugly, but I also think about some of these wood-burning fireplaces, you really don't want anything kind of going, especially if you have carpet around there. Right. So, I mean, you would need to be careful, but there are some really beautiful fireplace screens. And I have a beautiful antique one. It's fabric, so I don't actually use it when the fireplace is on, but it just kind of covers it up nicely when we're not using it. I mean, that's another thing that you can do is to get some antique fireplace screens or, like I said, something more modern. I mean, it's just a neat way to add a little more interest to your fireplace.
So yeah, and then now we're in the firebox, like unless it's a full-fledged wood burning fireplace, maybe it doesn't work, or maybe you want it to be gas, but you haven't converted it and you don't bother to light a real log. So maybe it functions, but you're not using it as such. Okay, so then what do you do with it? It's there, it's your focal point. And so even if you paint it with this nice new fresh coat of high heat black paint, it's still a black hole in your room.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So but there are so many things you can do. I've seen some things that just kind of go beyond the pale. Like I don't think you want to get too crazy in there.
So you're talking about when you're not using the fireplace for a
if
fire.
you're not using it, or if it doesn't work. And you're not going to take the fireplace out and spend the money to do that. And maybe
but it's
one
such
day
a
you're
beautiful
going to make
thing
it
in the
work.
room. Hopefully, so why not? Yeah, make it work. So
what
are
for
your
my
ideas?
fireplace to make it work is going to cost a lot of money. So because the whole chimney has to be relined and all of that. So it's just something we decided not to do. And living in California, I mean, at Christmas time we were like, boy, it would be nice if that worked like today. But then by like 2 p.m, you're like, wow, I'd be melting if I had a fire on.
Well, I know. I mean, here, some days if you really want it, you have to turn the AC on. And then after about 30 minutes, it's too hot.
Yeah.
Turn that thing off.
Exactly. So it's some things that you can do. Well, obviously, if you have it's already gas and there's a log set in there, you can't really do too much. It's just in there. But maybe that's the case where you go the route Anita was just discussing, and you get a beautiful screen to go in front of it, and then you can enjoy the beauty of that. I know the one Anita has. I've seen it on her blog, and you guys can look. Maybe she can link to it here in the show notes. It's so pretty, and you would want to look at that all the time. But you can put other things in there. And one thing that makes perfect sense, and I did this for a long time, was just a big basket with logs. I did birch logs because I just wanted to.
So you actually put that in the fireplace?
I just put it in the fireplace. Like, this is a nod to the fireplace. It doesn't really
Mm-hmm.
work, but here's a really chunky basket with
Here's
some
the wood I would
birch.
burn in here.
Here was the wood I would burn. Is that a poem? Say that 5 times fast. Is that the wood I would burn?
Something like that.
And then at Christmas time, I put some fairy lights and sort of around the logs in there. So that was pretty. But
nice.
I got tired of that.
And
of
course
I
you
said,
did.
I want to do something else here. So I was thinking, I want to do maybe the candles thing, which is not an original thought. I mean, everybody's seen that.
But it's beautiful. I like that idea.
Well, I'm really happy with it. So I didn't want to do them just sitting on the ground. I wanted a little height. So I found something from Crate and Barrel, and I could put the link in. It's kind of like
it's for a fireplace?
Yeah. So, I mean, you could put it
nice.
anywhere, but I think this is what it was supposed to be for, because it's an accordion configuration. So it stretches so it can kind of fit, your fireplace, my fireplace.
Oh, what a great idea.
Stretches. And it has 8 different holders for the flameless candles. I mean, I guess you could put real candles in there, but I didn't do. So then I bought a set of flameless candles of various sizes and with a remote, and I'm so happy with it. And at Christmas time, I put some of the extra branches from the tree, sort of tucked it under them. But it would look good on its own. But then what I decided to do, and I haven't done this yet, so I'll give you an update when I do it. I bought the reflective glass shards or pieces, that I have in my outdoor fireplace. So I bought several pounds of those.
Oh, and put them.
Yeah, I didn't do it yet, but they're sitting next to the fireplace. I'm going to do it this week. And then
how
I'm going to put those on the bottom.
I want to hear how it goes.
Yeah. And so they're kind of gold and white. And they also have one side of each of the pieces. I got like the 1 or 1.5 inch pieces. They have a mirrored side. So I think when the candles are on, it's going to really be very pretty and reflective.
Very nice. Hey, I forgot to mention earlier when we were talking about the artwork above the fireplace, what a great place to put a large map.
Oh, yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. And the other thing that I've found at Round Top are these, they're the kind of the roll up displays or technical information that were from schoolrooms.
Oh, like the German science thing.
Yes,
right?
yes,
Right.
yes. Actually, yes. When I had my booth, I had some that were actually some German towns, I think, and they were really nice, but they would roll up and then you would pull them down. I mean, I think that would be fun to have above the fireplace. And then,
and that's a good, they're always big. So that's a great size.
well, and actually, if you could get the right size, you could put that in front of your TV. And then pull it down when you're not using your TV and pull it up when you are.
Very good idea.
Well, my neighbor did that. I thought it was such a great idea.
That is a great idea. Okay, so let me tell you some other things that I have ideas. And I'm sure you have more ideas for inside. So the glass, obviously you can do that. I've done that to great success on our outdoor fireplace. I love it. It really looks nice. I think it's definitely a more modern look than having a log set, because the outside fireplace is gas. Obviously you can't do that if you have real, it's a real fireplace. Obviously you need wood. But another thing I saw with river rocks, those rocks that are larger and just really smooth, usually a dark black, ebony colored, you could have those instead of the glass pieces. And then I saw this other thing. It's called fireballs. And they they're like 8-inch. They almost look like cast iron balls. And they sit in your fireplace, at the bottom of your fireplace, and they're sort of all stacked up. And they come in 8 different colors. I'm not sure how I'd feel about them, but they looked really kind of cool on their website. And another thing I saw were these geometric shapes. Now, this is very modern, but they had the glass pieces on the bottom and then these various geometric shapes that just sort of sit on top of them, and the flames sort of flicker all around them.
Oh, nice.
It's really cool. So picture if you had a more modern looking fireplace, say you had the brick and you painted it all like maybe a flat matte black or something like that. So it's just flat. You've got the opening, and then inside it you did a colored glass, and then you had these geometric shapes sitting there, maybe like an odd number of them, 7 or 9 of them, something. And then the flames sort of licking up all around them. I think it'd be super cool. So that's a company I'd never heard of. Hanson Wholesale has those. So I'll put a link to them in the show notes. It's something I'd never seen before.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Wow. Well, that's fair. Thanks for sharing that with us.
And then, of course, you could put plants, but like my room plants would not do well. I'd have to do Anita's fresh air fund for plants, and I'd have to rotate them outside because it's too dark. I mean, there's no mirror. There's no window opposite.
Right. But I love the idea of a big fern in there. If you had
it is a great idea. I mean, I guess you could do a good faux.
Right. And I've seen a cardboard cutout that somebody had hand painted one time that was just amazingly beautiful, that somebody used as a fireplace screen.
What was it of?
I think it was like the Barefoot Contessa. Does that sound right? Yeah.
Barefoot Contessa?
It wasn't the Barefoot Contessa that you know of that has the cookbook. It's
That's
like
Ina.
Right. It's not about Ina. It's I think there was a Barefoot Contessa character at some point.
Oh.
So it's like a little kind of fancy lady.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how else to explain it. Somebody dressed in clothes from the 1700s is the best I can
But
say.
what was the screen painted of? What was the image
of her, of like a little girl.
Oh, it was of her. Wow.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
I'm like, I'm not following this. Okay.
It's like a painting, but it was like it was shaped in the shape of this little girl.
Oh, wow.
That's dressed up in these clothes.
Okay, that's unique.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, that was very unusual. Yeah.
Okay, so are you ready for the thing that I heard of that if you don't have a fireplace, you can have? Okay, maybe I'm the only person that hadn't heard of this yet, but I don't think so. Ethanol fireplaces. They can go anywhere. You don't need a chimney. There are no gas lines. There was no venting, no electricity, and no flue. And you don't have to do anything other than just, I think some of them, they actually just go on the wall. I read that in some instances you can kind of go into your wall a bit, like maybe into your framing, and it can sit in there. So it's this company called BioFlame that I was reading about, but I think other companies do it. And so this ethanol, you take a liter of it or a gallon of it, and it can burn for about 4 hours. And it's basically corn. and it gives off CO2 and some steam. So there's really there's no toxicity to it or anything from what I've read.
Nice.
So
well,
you could convert so I was like, wow, maybe that's, I don't know how much that costs, but maybe that's something we could do in our fireplace rather than, because even if I made a gas, I still have to do the sleeve and the chimney's a little wonky. And, I know it would be one of those can of worms situations where like, oh, well now, sorry, we knocked a brick out and your whole chimney fell down, that sort of thing. So we're not going to do it.
Do you have a link to include for this?
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
Oh, how interesting.
It seems pretty interesting. And then, of course, another option is a wood stove. There are so many
I've
ones.
seen those too. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something that's possible. So there's a lot of interesting options. And I think, having a fireplace is wonderful. And, but how much are you really using it? So if you don't have one, don't be sad, but you could try one of these options that we're offering you. And if you have one and you're not really using it, well, maybe some thoughts that we had today will help you make it a more pleasing focal point in your room, because you really can't get around it. If you've got one, it's going to be the focal point. Don't you agree? It's hard to
it definitely is.
Be like, oh, it's not there,
Well, it is your focal point. It's just a natural focal point.
Right. It's not like you
might as well make it the best it can be, because people's eyes are going to be drawn to it, and you want them to be drawn to something that is beautiful and not something that you hate. So
exactly,
because it's red brick that you don't like or something,
Exactly. So
not that there's anything wrong with red brick. If you have it and you love it, great.
You have it and you love it, that's great. Right. And if anybody's done anything really cool to their fireplace, let us know. Send us pictures, and we'll inform everyone else. And this is the kind of thing that's going to happen on Team DTT, right? We're going to be able to do this all the time. And obviously, if we're having an episode come out, that might be spark a conversation in the Facebook group. And then we might go, deeper into other things and specific questions that people have in their homes or their fireplaces or whatever the topic is. But, we'll be talking about lots and lots of things, but definitely we can go deeper into the episode topics if people want to do that, and they can share photos and share it back and forth. Because I think you guys really would. We're all such kindred spirits.
Right.
And it'll give everybody on the team an opportunity to get to know each other as well. It's not just us getting to know you and you getting to know us. You'll be getting to know each other.
Well, and I'm thinking too about our hot topics that we've started. I would like to know what everybody's thoughts are on that. And not just yours, which I want to hear your opinion too.
Right.
But it's just it would be so interesting to hear what everyone else has to say as well.
Well, nice segue into the hot topic there, lady.
All righty. Well, the hot topic, and I'll include the link to the article, but it's from The Independent, and they reported it just takes 38 seconds for someone to judge your house. And they noted that people said they paid attention to whether someone had vacuumed, whether their windows were dirty, and whether the house had a funny smell. And this was, based on a study they did. And the interesting thing is they would make a mental note if the washing hadn't been done. They noticed books on the shelves and if things were dusty. So it was an interesting statistic. They said that 86% of people would do a cleaning ahead of time if they knew someone was coming, and not quite as many. But if there was somebody coming who was just kind of popping in, if you found out with very short notice that someone was popping in, that at least 50% of the people said that they would give their house a quick vacuuming and a cleanup before the people came over. So I thought that would be an interesting topic. And it was kind of, I guess, a little disturbing for me because I just had somebody come over. I was holding somebody's mail for them that she asked me to pick up a package. And I was like, oh, well, just come on in. And as I brought her into the house, I realized that we had just eaten. And there was a stack of dirty dishes sitting there that we hadn't cleaned up yet. And I'm now thinking, oh, no, it's over for me.
I'm so sorry we eat. And you're seeing that. What am I talking about? I am so like that. Yeah. And nobody should be like that, but it's so true. And I mean, I'm not judgy of people's houses at all.
Oh, no, I'm not either.
No, but I mean, here's this article saying people are, and maybe you are. I mean, you're human. You can't help like taking in what you're observing. But I mean, everybody eats. Like everybody has dishes in their sink. I mean, right now, I'm not proud of what's going on in my sink, but I just haven't had time to do it. And I came scooting past it, and I was like, "Ooh, yeah, I got to get to that after we podcast." Hopefully, there's no one banging on my door when we're done wanting to come in.
Well, and I think too, if people are coming in, if I know someone's coming, the first thing I do is vacuum up the dog hair. And you might say, why do you let the dog hair stay there on the floor? Well, I don't, but I have a collie.
Oh, yeah.
And she just walks by and it just falls off. I mean,
yeah.
I go by and do the sock cleanup, like every day.
Oh,
and it's there again the next day.
Oh my gosh.
So it's a constant battle with that one. So yeah, I mean, I think this is something that we all struggle with. If someone's coming, of course you want your house to look nice. But
Yes.
I'm not the, the white glove person checking that. I'm not a person that's checking for how clean is when's the last time this house was cleaned? Because, that's not really, my thing. And, that my mom's going to kill me, but my mom, that wasn't her thing. Not that the house was dirty, but
She's not listening.
she's not listening. That's right.
I'm joking.
I'm not saying the house was dirty.
but she's not. She's not.
I'm just saying she's just kind of an artist. And anyway, so I wasn't really brought up like really focused on the cleaning. So.
Oh my gosh. But here's the thing. Everybody, it's nice to have people in your house, and they really, I mean, you don't have, what was that? Wasn't there a commercial in the Wayback Machine, like where the lady would have the white glove test or something like that?
She's not coming to my house. I'm not opening the door.
Oh, your house looks bad. Well, you must have done some tidying up every time I came, because your house.
No,
gorgeous.
There's tidiers and there's cleaners. My house is always, always tidy, but is it super clean? No, it's not.
Yeah,
it's not clean.
Well, clean or not, everybody is concerned that, their house looks best, especially people listening to this podcast. We all have this house pride. We all want to put our best foot forward. But, the truth is, if your friend wants to come in and chat with you for a minute, just stand in front of the kitchen sink if there's dishes in it. Like, she's not going to care, really. That's your friend. But we all do it, and I think it comes from a good place, because you want to, treat the person that's coming to your home like a special guest. And of course, you would make some extra effort. I have a friend who says, she's like, I wish I could entertain more, but I'm just not a bag of chips girl. And what she means by that is she just doesn't like grab a bowl and like rip open a bag of chips and pour them in. Like, she's going to do the spread. She's going to make the appetizers.
I know. I get it. I get it.
And so,
I can't do the paper plates. I seriously wish I could.
Right. She wishes she could be a bag of chips girl, but she's not. So, she entertains less, but when she does it the way she wants to. And that's fine.
But I love going to people's houses that do the bag of chips.
Right. I know. I love chips. Anyway, if you give me some chips and some
especially
Blanc,
the cheese,
I'm very happy. Or even
the cheese things.
Oh, the cheese.
Right. If you have
they can distract you from the mess with the cheese things. But anyway, it's an interesting article. And my gosh, 38 seconds. I mean, these people are experts if they can take in someone's whole house in 38 seconds.
Well, you time it.
Okay.
38 seconds is a long time.
I'm going to hold everyone at the door for at least 38 seconds before I let them in.
That's right.
Well, we do some film. Sometimes we have an opportunity to be in the running for some filming at our house, and so sometimes they want to send a scout out, which means somebody's going to come and look, and then they'll decide, and they'll go back to the creative director and whatever. So we've had this happen numerous times, and lots of times, like your house is like going on a audition, like it doesn't get it right, so it happens most of the times you don't get it. Sometimes you do get it, but those sometimes are within like an hour or two notice, and I'm telling you, months later, I find things that I was just like, choop, 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 choop. I was like throwing everything. Or my daughter will be like, did you see my? And I'm like, it might be in the basement on the floor. I don't know. Or it's behind the vacuum cleaner, because I'm just throwing things places. So that's not a good idea. Just, and the thing is too, if you try to just kind of keep in control of it, and if people come to your door, it's not so bad.
Well, that's right. That's right. Well, right. And I think this is really talking about first impressions.
Right.
Because once somebody's in so you clean it up really well for that first time. And then after that, then I think you can be a little more lax. You're like, well, they know I do clean it. They know it's been cleaned before.
Yeah.
So if it isn't the best of clean this time, maybe I'm just not going to worry about it so much.
Exactly. Well, interesting article. I like these hot topics. I think it's good so we have, some things we can banter about. Let us know what you think about that.
Green Chef is a delicious delight any time of year, but especially during the holidays. What a wonderful vision to behold as the Green Chef boxes on your doorstep. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating well. And it makes eating well so easy with plans to fit every lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat a more balanced diet. So let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season. And if you've got guests coming, shop Green Bundles. They're now available at the Green Market. It's your one-stop shop for nutritious grab-and-go breakfasts, including vegan options, brunch kits, wholesome lunches, ready-to-eat snacks, veggie sides, and more. You can feel your best this December and do your best with Green Chef because they offset 100% of the delivery emissions as well as 100% of the plastic in every box. Go to greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT and get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT to get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. Inevitably, with the new year come wellness goals. One very effective and easy to reach goal is to add Dose to your wellness regime. Dose is expertly formulated organic wellness shots that support your liver in one delicious drink. Formulated with ingredients clinically shown to support liver health. Potent turmeric, milk thistle, and ginger. There's 0 sugar and 0 calories. Did you know that your liver performs over 500 special functions? Since I learned all that my liver is doing, I started with Dose to support all those vital functions. I take a shot of refreshing Dose 2 times per week to combat everyday toxins from food, meds, alcohol, and unhealthy air. Since starting with Dose about a month ago, I am definitely feeling an overall improvement in my health. So if you want to give Dose a shot and invest in your health like I have, Dose is offering DTT listeners 15% off your first order, plus an additional 15% off if you subscribe for a monthly delivery. That's 30% off your first order. So go to dosedaily.co/DTT and use the code DTT. That's dosedaily.co.co/DTT and use the code DTT.
And now we can dive into our crushes. I have one that I'm excited to share.
Oh,
you go first, though. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, this was a gift I gave myself for Christmas.
Ooh.
I gave the whole family.
Okay.
BritBox.
Oh, I love it.
Ah, do you have it?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, we just bit the bullet. Oh my goodness. I don't know what I was waiting for because I love all the shows on there. So BritBox, it's a service that you can get. Now we get it through Amazon Prime. Is that where you get yours?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We'll include a link to it, but it's just all your famous, our favorite British shows, as time goes by, The Vicar of Dibley. We watch Poirot, and then there's a Miranda, which is a comedy, This Farming Life, Death in Paradise. It's just all these, British, detective shows and, your gardening shows, and then Mary Berry. There's a few of her shows on there, and she's kind of she's a kind of the British version of, I guess, Martha Stewart.
Oh, okay. I haven't tried that. And
Mhm.
honestly, I'm not sure exactly what is on BritBox that we've been watching, but
Mhm.
none of the shows you mentioned. So I have some other ones, so I can add those. Maybe next time I'll make a list of what we watched.
Oh,
because
I would love to hear
Mhm.
what you watch. But anyway, there's a lot of classics and there's a lot of new programming there too. But
Yes.
but since I love British TV,
We do
it's been
too.
perfect for me.
Yeah, us too. Okay, so
Yeah, what's yours?
well, disclaimer. I want everyone to know, and they say it on this podcast, that it is, really not for the faint of heart. It is it's a little gruesome in parts, and it's somewhat haunting, but
I'm out.
It's so good.
Really? What is it?
It's a true crime podcast. It's called Detective Trap. It's the same fella who did Dirty John, which I liked and didn't like and was very long. This is only, I believe it's 5 or 6 episodes. I think 5 for the main story. And then there's the 6th one, I think is sort of the backstory. So it's the guy from the LA Times, and he was the reporter on these crimes. So there are girls that are going missing in Santa Ana, which is very close to Anaheim, which is right around Disneyland. And it turns out, and I'm not going to give it away, but the whole story is really, it's about the girls that go missing, but it's mostly about the female detective, and she's a real person, Julissa Trapp, who is investigating this, and she interrogates like nobody. I mean, I was a district attorney. I worked with a lot of detectives. I have a very high regard for that profession when it's done well, and she is amazing. So the fact that she's an actual person, it's far better than anything you can watch that's fictional, or listen to that's fictional. So
you mean the actual attorney is on there?
The actual detective. It's really all about her.
Detective.
Yeah.
The real one is on there.
Oh yes. It's like Dirty John. They're interviewing the actual people. They're interviewing
very nice.
The actual defendants. They're interviewing the mothers of these girls. But it's mostly, the whole story is mostly driven by this female detective. And
I don't mind the murder shows like Poirot or Miss Marple, where, there's kind of, you see someone's died very quickly, and then it's all about kind of this, small town life and everything. I'm not so into the gruesome, really happened.
Well, yes. I mean, obviously this really happened, and you feel
I have a hard time with those.
But they don't dwell on that. You learn what happened. You learn sort of how it happened, but you're listening. You're not seeing.
Okay.
But
I'm more like the fan of it was, Colonel Mustard with the
with the candlestick
in the library
in the dark painted study. No, but it didn't really. No, this is down and dirty, gritty detective work.
I can't. Yeah.
But the way you would like her as a person. I think we would love her. We knew her personally. She is a get it done kind of gal. And the way she interviews this guy.
Did they find the person? Or
I'm not telling you the story.
Oh, okay. All right. But no, I don't even. That's fine.
It's on Wondery is the producer of this podcast, but you can find it just. I'll put the link, but you could just in any of your podcast listeners where you listen to us, just put in Detective Trap if you're interested.
So the interesting thing is probably not even the end, but just the whole journey through.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yes. Okay, our question today, talk about a journey. I don't like that word, but it's a bit of a journey here for Shelby.
Sometimes it applies.
So Shelby is been a longtime listener, and she's excited to find us. And Shelby wants to transition from farmhouse decor to more of an old world look. And her question is, how does she start?
Well, I think, Shelby, there's a lot of crossover between farmhouse style and old world style. And I think the real trick is removing the more rustic elements and keeping the more refined things. So you would want to keep those old books and maybe cloches and old bottles, I think would work. Just kind of vintage and antique things. But again, if it's kind of more... that's really something, and it's something that I've kind of done in my house is I pulled out some of the stuff I felt like was a little more rustic from my decor, and I've kind of moved a little more toward the old world and not as rustic as I've had. So I guess that's the general thing that I would say about it. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea for the removing and anything that's too sort of cute. If you had cutesy farmhouse stuff, obviously I would pull all that out as well. I might say if for adding, Shelby, either start with lighting. Many times in an old world type of look, you're going to see some chandeliers. A great place to look for them is on Etsy. You may be in a situation where you'd have to have them rewired. So definitely check to see if the seller is already rewiring, or if you need to do that, because you want to figure that into your cost. But that's a great place to adding, taking down a farmhouse style sort of metal looking chandelier or pendant or something like that and putting up a crystal type chandelier is definitely going to transform the look of a room. You can still have, as Anita and I both do, I think we both have that rustic to an extent, like patinaed look, but we also have an old world feel going on in our homes.
Right. But we mix it with, the crystal and the silver, which are things that you can add.
Right. And another thing to add, if maybe a chandelier isn't something you want to do right now, is a really good antique. Right. And if you bought one really good one, every year or so, after a short period of time, you'd have quite a nice collection. So maybe a break front or a console piece or something like that, and it could be, Gustavian, it could be lighter wood, it could be something like that, or it could really be a nice brown piece. And as we've talked about in our episode on brown furniture, you can get those pieces for a song now, go to your thrift stores and things like that. So that might be a really good entree to doing this. Do what Anita said, take out and then add in one really nice carved, I'd go as dark of wood stain that you could find, or, maybe more of a Swedish look would be really nice. And I think both of that would evoke it.
Antique pine pieces, I think, are beautiful for a European look. I think some beautiful antique dishes always work, antique English dishes. And if you want an English look, I think a dark color on the wall works well. And then some dark patterned fabrics in the room would be, or bold colored, I should say. Traditional fabrics would really give that old world feel to the room.
Right. And not that I'm the expert, but if you want a more of a French look, and Nita would probably agree, maybe a little bit of gilding, a gilded mirror or something like that, something with a little gold, a little chippy patinaed gold would be great. With your farmhouse stuff, if you're pulling stuff out and you're on the fence about it, if it says, I hate to keep saying that, but the fresh eggs, you can, that's not going to work.
But if you have a fresh egg sign, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's not going to go old world. Right. But if you have some things that you're like, oh, I don't know, like I have a lot of grain sack pillows, I think that all will work for sure. So if you're not sure about them, maybe just put them in a bin and put them away. And then as you're adding in, what you're feeling is more of an old world look, then you could sort of reintroduce those and see how they all play together. But I think that it's going to be beautiful.
Well, grain sacks, I still think work very well.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. But like if you're like, oh, that's farmhouse, let's give it away, and then you're like, oh darn it, I gave away all my grain sacks. Don't do it.
No, I would keep that and any homespun linen, tablecloths, sheets. They're still great. They go so well with the European look. They're beautiful. So definitely antiques. And, I always say, if you want a French look in a room, add a French chair, an antique French chair, and you will not be sorry. They are so beautiful and they add so much interest and so much just elegance to a room.
Perfect. Okay. It was great hanging out with you today, Anita.
Well, it was great hanging out with you, Kelly. And remember, we're here to inspire you to create a beautiful home. Until next time.
I want to remind you that we are available for design consults. We take on your design dilemmas, questions, renovations, any project you want to talk about, any room, any space. We are here for you. And we really do enjoy doing these. And I think we've helped people a lot. So if you want to sign up for a consult, head to the link in the show notes. It's decoratingtipsandtricks.com/consult. We hope to talk to you soon.